Sad news this morning. The singer, musician, songwriter and founding member of Clannad, Moya Brennan, has died aged 73. This piece of music, the theme from Harry's Game, was a breakthrough track for Clannad in 1982. Moya Brennan passed away peacefully yesterday in Donegal, surrounded by her family.
There are some voices that don't just sing, they carry you somewhere. And from the very beginning, that was the story of born Enya Brennan in the rugged, deeply cultural landscape of Gweedore in County Donegal, Ireland.
It's lovely to be respected in that sort of way. There's nothing like giving respect and attention to something that you've loved doing. I mean, this is something I love doing, and to be applauded for it is just fantastic.
Her life was shaped by music long before the world ever heard her name. This wasn't fame-built music. This was inherited. Her father was a teacher and traditional musician, her mother a singer, and their home was filled with the sound of Irish folk, language, and storytelling. For Moya, music wasn't something you learned, it was something you lived. As a young girl, she was surrounded by the Irish language, by melodies that had existed for generations, and by a sense of identity rooted in something older than modern fame. That foundation would go on to define everything she became. When she joined her family to form in the early 1970s, it wasn't about chasing global recognition. It was about preserving a sound. About taking the essence of Irish tradition and letting it evolve naturally.
You can imagine going to Germany and Italy and France and places like that, and you're there. I'm there with my brothers and my uncles, and even though I was kind of more the mother looking after everybody.
And at the center of that evolution was Moya's voice, clear, emotional, and almost otherworldly in its purity. As Clannad began to grow, so did her presence. Her voice had a unique ability to transcend language barriers. Even when singing in Irish, audiences who didn't understand a single word could still feel every emotion embedded in each note. That became her signature, music that didn't need translation. Over time, the group moved beyond traditional folk into something more atmospheric, blending Celtic roots with modern production. Albums like Magical Ring and Macalla brought international attention, and suddenly, this quiet family project from Donegal was influencing the global music scene.
Well, I would see her, Moya, as a trailblazer, really, for female singers especially. And she brought her music with great pride to every corners of the world, as you've said. And I think she inspired a lot of young females, especially, to pursue that career. And she set a standard. And then outside of that, I have to smile when I think she was brave enough and never afraid to branch out.
But even as success arrived, Moya Brennan remained deeply connected to her origins. She didn't lose the cultural and emotional depth that defined her sound. Instead, she carried it forward, becoming one of the most recognizable voices in Celtic music. Her work on television soundtracks, particularly the theme for Harry's Game, introduced her voice to an even wider style became something people instantly recognized, even if they couldn't quite explain why it moved them. Beyond the group, Moya eventually stepped into a solo career, allowing her to explore her artistry in a more personal way. Her solo work reflected not just musical growth, but emotional and spiritual journeys. She spoke openly about her faith, her struggles, and her experiences, and those themes became woven into her music. Albums like May and Perfect Time revealed a different side of her, still rooted in tradition, but more introspective, more personal. Her voice matured, carrying not just beauty, but life experience. And her life, like many artists who endure for decades, wasn't without its challenges. There were moments of personal hardship, including financial struggles and periods of uncertainty that tested her resilience. At one point, she openly discussed being misled financially, which left her facing serious difficulties. But rather than define her, those moments seemed to deepen her perspective. They added another layer to her music, one that listeners could feel even without knowing the details. Throughout the years, Moya Brennan continued to perform, to record, and to connect with audiences around the world. Her live performances were never about spectacle, they were about atmosphere. About creating a space where people could feel something genuine. Whether performing in intimate venues or larger concert halls, there was always a sense of calm, almost spiritual presence in the way she carried herself on stage. Her influence extended far beyond her own recordings. As one of the pioneers of modern Celtic music, she helped shape a sound that would go on to inspire countless artists. Her approach to blending traditional Irish elements with contemporary production opened doors for others to explore that space. And even as music trends shifted over the decades, her work remained relevant, not because it followed trends, but because it stayed true to something deeper. In her later years, there was a noticeable sense of reflection in her work and public appearances. She continued to create, but there was also a quietness, a sense of someone who had already given so much of herself to her art. Interviews revealed a woman who was thoughtful, grounded, and aware of the journey she had taken, from a small community in Donegal to stages across the world. And perhaps that's what makes her life story resonate so deeply. It wasn't built on sudden fame or fleeting moments. It was built slowly, carefully, through decades of dedication to a sound, a culture, and a way of expressing emotion that didn't rely on trends or attention. Her career wasn't about constant reinvention, it was about continuity. About staying connected to something real, even as the world around her changed. When you look at the full picture of his life, what stands out isn't just the success or the recognition, it's the consistency. The way she remained true to her roots while still evolving as an artist. The way her voice carried both tradition and individuality at the same time. And the way her music continues to exist beyond any single moment, reaching people in a way that feels personal, almost timeless. Her story is one of quiet impact. Of influence that doesn't always announce itself loudly, but is felt deeply by those who encounter it. And even now, her music remains soft, powerful, and enduring, like an echo that doesn't